My name is Jeannie Maddox. I am the board liaison for the Florida School Counselor Association Professional Development Committee, and we are pleased that you have joined us here today. And I am losing control of my screen here. There we go. I'm back. All right. Welcome. If you have never been with us before, we want to say that we are glad that you're here. If you joined us previously, welcome back. This is something we do the third week of every month where we get together as a state and share as a level. So we are small but mighty today, Mighty Middle School. So we have 7 people on the call, and hopefully we'll have some more join us as we move along. So also with me today is my co-host, Renix Franklin, who is one of the chairs of the Professional Development Committee. He is an elementary educator, but he has a middle school heart, I know. And he's going to help facilitate part of this meeting as he gets pulled back and forth as a single counselor often does. So welcome, Renix. Thanks for being here with us.
Thanks, Jeannie. Thanks for letting me sneak on into the level ahead of me. I appreciate you guys. And thank you all for joining us today as well.
If you wouldn't mind, while we're getting things going here, if you would introduce yourself in the chat, just put your name, first and last, your county, whether you are live, hybrid, or virtual. If this is your first time attending with us, or if you're a regular attender of our Lunch and Learn. So if you wouldn't mind, just go ahead and put that in the chat, and we'll spend a little time getting to know each other. So we have Patty from Miami-Dade. Patty, are you first time or regular attender? Renix is here from Hillsborough doing in-person. Patty's doing in-person. Who else do we have with us here today? Sorry for all my bells. We have multiple bells at lunchtime. And Yasmin is in person. All right, Angela Hillsborough. Sounds like maybe you know her, huh, Renix?
Not at the moment, but I'm just happy I have a Hillsborough person here. Hello, hello.
See a number of Miami-Dade people. Welcome. All right. And then we have first time. So welcome to our first timers. If you've not been here before, the way we do this is just an open sharing. So at any time, turn on your camera, turn on your microphone, and just feel free to share, or you can put it in the chat. Renix is going to be in and out today with some other responsibilities, so it may be better for me because I'm going to scribe the meeting. This will be recorded, and it will also be on the Florida School Counselor Association YouTube channel, as well as the PowerPoint and the things that we scribe on here, and the chat. So anything that you put in the chat, I might not get to it so if it's just me, so please feel free to unmute and turn on your camera and talk to us. We're glad that you're here. Anybody else? And then we have Tabitha from Broward. She's hybrid. All right. Like I said, small but mighty today. We're glad that you joined us. All right, well, let's get going. We're going to do some announcements, and then we're going to move right into our counselor sharing. So the first announcement that we want you to know is that we have a webinar coming soon on February the 23rd. Our 2020 School Counselor of the Year, Grace Wilhelm from Duval County, will be presenting a webinar on RAMP. So if you've ever wondered about RAMP, if you've ever wanted to be, if you ever considered doing RAMP, if you're in the middle of RAMP, Grace Wilhelm is a great resource. She has ramped at 2 schools, and I think is a bit of an expert, so we're really lucky to have her with us, and she's going to be talking about RAMP on February the 23rd from 7 to 8:30. If you're in the Eastern time zone, if you're in our Panhandle friends, that'll be from 6:30 to 7:30 for you. And then we also have coming up on March the 4th, one of our Escambia County School Council of Year nominees, Patty Swans Reiners. She works with an organization called Counselors for Computing. You may have heard of them. And she's going to be presenting a webinar on us, school counselors and other educators, and advising our key advocates for access and equity in counseling. So we are excited to have her. I'm sorry, in computing. We're excited to have her, and hope that you'll consider joining us for both of those webinars. They are free, and we do appreciate them presenting for us, and we hope that you'll take advantage of these. All right. I see that our Executive Director from FISCA, Dr. Becky Schumacher, is with us today. Becky, did you want to say anything to our group before we get started?
Sure. Thank you, Jeannie. I had to find my come off mute button. So sorry for that pause, but welcome everyone. We're glad to have you here. One announcement that I do want to share that has been circulated now on our weekly bulletin that goes out to our membership, and it has been circulating in other areas as well, but just to bring it to your attention, October 28, 29, and 30, 2021, FISCA is planning to hold live in person, yay, our annual convention, and our convention will be held in Tampa at the Tampa Hilton Hotel downtown on North Tampa Street. So it's a lovely hotel, lovely facility, and the convention committee is off the starting block with planning. So we are excited about returning to live in-person convention and would welcome and invite you each to come. Our major goal for our convention each and every year has been to provide the highest quality professional development that we possibly can. That includes our keynote speakers as well as our breakout sessions, which we typically offer up to 35 to 40 breakout sessions to select from. So hopefully this can be a professional development you can attend. We keep the cost very low for our membership to celebrate members. So if you're not a member, that's another thought to consider joining FISCA. So with that, I'll turn it back to Jeannie. But again, thank you, and thank you for all the good work you do on behalf of students across our state. We are a noble profession, a very worthy profession. So I hope that you pause at different times and just recognize the great work that you do each and every day, which is sometimes easy to overlook in the heat of the moment when we're all running with our tongues hanging out. So anyway, have a good rest of the week. Thanks for joining us, and continued good health, and be safe. Back to you, Jeannie.
Thank you, Becky. Appreciate you joining us and for those words about our convention. So let's move on, and let's start with a temperature check. I don't know about you, but they stopped doing temperatures in my school this week. It seemed like for some reason some CDC guideline. I don't know if you guys are still doing temperature checks, but let's just check in with each other. How are you doing? So unmute your microphones or type in the chat. How are you doing this week or this month? How are things going? Feel free to unmute your microphone. If you're a first-time attender, we unmute microphones and we talk, or you can put it in the chat, either one. But this is all about level sharing, so we don't get very much out of it if we don't do some sharing. And what you may think is insignificant may really resonate with someone else. So please feel free to share how you're doing. I'll go first if you want. I feel like things are going pretty well. We are already starting our registration for next year, and we've already registered our students for high school, so we're really moving along at a fast clip. I'm not sure why our new superintendent has decided to do that, but we have those things out of the way, and it's gone pretty smoothly overall. We're doing it on the computer rather than with paper, and we have the focus system. I don't know if any of you have that. And that registration has gone much more smoothly than I thought. So doing pretty good.
Hi, this is Angela. I'm going to go ahead and just unmute and chime right in there. Hillsborough County.
Thank you.
It's slow and steady. So right now we're transitioning over from a new system as far as our first class system to a new, like the teams and Outlook for emailing. So I'm trying to wrap my brain around that and try to migrate over into that system. And I'm e-learning, so it's all about getting the brick and mortar system to mirror an e-learning platform and dealing with students who may have lost a loved one due to COVID-19. So trying to implement that sort of grief counseling via Zoom is a new implementation, and it's just picking up. So it's slow and steady, but adding that piece in as well is becoming a little overwhelming, but I think it's manageable as long as we have the buy-in and the support from the administrative staff. So that's how it's going for me.
Excellent. Thank you. I'd love to hear more about these grief groups you're doing. You said you're doing them virtually for students who've lost a loved one to COVID.
Yes.
How's that working out?
It's working out so far so good, as long as the parent is aware and the student can Zoom in. Our e-learning schedule is pretty much the same for our 6th, 7th, and 8th grade. So I only have the lunch period available if they don't want to miss a class for them to be able to Zoom in. And because the schedule is so concrete as far as the e-learning schedule, I am able to Zoom into the classroom and have the teacher put the student in a breakout room to kind of do a check and connect with them. So that is a viable option whenever I want to go and just do a check to make sure they're okay, just to do a thumbs up and get a quick, check in to see a temperature check, if you will, to see how they're doing. And but their designated lunchtime is the days where I can actually physically have the grief counseling groups and let them know that there are other students going through some similar situations and they're not alone, because the e-learning format alone lends itself for them to feel isolated.
That's true. What an excellent idea. I love hearing about how people are using technology. We've become so much more tech savvy perhaps than we were before. And I had never really thought about it, but Angela, what a great idea to use a breakout room. A teacher's already doing a class. You have a breakout room, you meet with that student, you send them back. What a great way to check in. Just like we would do ordinarily, stop in a classroom, pull a student out, how are you doing, send them right back in. I love that. So thank you for sharing that with us. That's something that some of the rest of us might be able to use in another fashion. So appreciate you sharing that. Anybody else? How are you doing? Could be you personally.
We do have a few items in the chat, Jeannie, to echo and highlight.
Rennick, share away.
Sure. So S. Brooks post is going pretty well. Lots of different checkpoints for students. So I'm trying to stay organized. Yasmin Benya says, busy, starting subject selection for next school year now. A lot of truancy issues as well. And we had a post from Tabitha, I feel overwhelmed, but also finding pockets of calm.
Tell us about that. Where do you find your pockets of calm? Because I need to hear some of that sometimes.
Hi, it's Tabitha.
Hi, Tabitha.
Hey, Tabitha.
So for me, I like mindfulness. And so a lot of like recorded meditation or guided breathing. I just find myself going back to my office and giving myself those few minutes to come back to myself and center myself. Because when you asked for the temperature check, my day started with morning duty in the cafeteria, and there were a lot of kids in that cafeteria. And I've realized within myself, with this whole pandemic and the social distancing or the lack of, that I get very anxious when there are a lot of people in one room. And so my pocket of calm could be going back to my office and recentering myself by breathing.
I love that. What a great idea. Do you have any particular things that you would recommend that you use?
Yeah, so Down Dog is an app, a phone app that's free right now during the pandemic.
It's called, I'm sorry, the bell went off. Sound Dog?
Down Dog, that's the yoga version. They have multiple apps, but it's free during this pandemic right now for educators and students. We also use Inner Explorer. I'm not sure if other counties are familiar with that. And that has recorded meditations. There's a lot of different free meditation and breathing apps out there that are quick. Like sometimes they're specific for work. So I'll pick one that's 3 minutes right between classes, close my door, and let that recording play and just find myself back centered.
Wow, quick, simple, gets you back on track. I love that. Thanks for sharing that. That's awesome.
Of course. Thank you.
Anyone else? As simple as it may be, you just never know. What you're saying may be exactly what another person needs to hear. We have such great ideas, and sometimes we don't get the opportunity to share them with others. And I just really appreciate those that have shared, reaching out and letting us know what they're doing, what's working for them, and giving the rest of us some ideas about what we can try. So thank you. Anybody else before we move on? Even though I'm to the bottom of the slide, I can always make the font smaller and add more things.
I'll throw in one if the middle school councils will allow.
Of
So
course.
we're having a lot of responses now due to the pandemic. So there's a lot of frustrations that we did not get at the beginning of the year. So our teachers are having a bit more stressors with that. Some of our parents and families are engaging with more conversations about what's the outcome with COVID-19. And so to look at Tabitha's point about feeling overwhelmed, it does offer that sense of, a lot of weight. But strangely, I've found calm in the work and trying to find new and different ways to engage the students while we have them on campus. So one of the things that was mentioned in the elementary session yesterday was the Zoom mentors. So finding volunteers and having people that want to share their time and give their time, and using Zoom to create these kind of contact with students. They're not doing grief counseling, they're not doing anything like that, but they're another safe adult, another trusted adult that we're connected to. And it gives an extension almost of our school site and our program right through Zoom. So it's kind of exciting to see that take place. In fact, that's why I might get off video right now. To see that take place so that we can have those students have those conversations with other trusted adults and build their network. So it's really finding that I'm personally finding a sense of calm in the work and organizing these new opportunities for my students.
I love that idea. Thank you so much. I'm so stealing that.
Oh, take it. Please take it. Take it.
Let me ask you this, Renix. Do they have to have like a volunteer form, or do they have to complete a mentor or a youth motivator training or something like that? How are they screened?
So our district has a volunteer services program. They have a volunteer form they go through. These individual volunteers were screened through our agency we're partnered with, and that agency is a vendor with the district. So kind of typically we would do a volunteer application, get them eligible, and then move them into our school sites. That was already handled with the company per se that's overseeing it.
Okay.
So we didn't have to do that. And then they did a training with the volunteers. And then as a school site, we submitted information on what we want them to work with our students. So whether we want to focus on some academic development, do we want to focus on some character development, do we want to focus on promoting social emotional awareness and learning with them, and they kind of target different skills each week. So like the current student is going to be in 3rd grade, and he's working on math because his parents and his teachers feel like that's the biggest deficit for him. So this 30-minute session is really gearing on engaging him in a fun way that he can find that excitement for mathematics. We have our 2nd graders are doing reading. And then the other 3rd grader, she's doing more of a true mentorship with some personal social goals built in there.
Love it. Thank you so much. Great ideas, and something that you may think is small and insignificant, maybe just what someone else is looking for. And that takes us into our next slide pretty well. Talking about celebrations, what can you celebrate? We're hearing about Renix's Zoom program. We heard about, I believe it was Tabitha that talked about the mindfulness that she does to recenter herself. Those are some celebrations, but what else can you celebrate? I'm excited about this, so I'll go first. Our school is doing for the first time, today is Random Acts of Kindness Day, and we are actually having a Random Acts of Kindness, a kindness week. So we have things that we're doing each day. So I'm really so excited about how our school leadership team got behind the idea. So it's not just the whole thing where the school counselor's putting it all together, but we have the language arts teacher who does journalism and creative writing, has really gotten her team of students on board. We have the math coach who's been helping me. I've been doing things, and so we've got quotes in the morning. We've got student-made boxes in the cafeteria with kindness notes so kids can write notes of appreciation or compliments or thanks. We've got a poster contest, a creative writing contest. We've got the journalism yearbook kids chalking the sidewalk. So we just have a lot of cool things happening. Today is T-shirt day. I don't know if you guys can see my T-shirt, but I'm super proud of it. The Be Kind T-shirt that has the hands of all the different colors and written in sign language. So it's been a cool experience, and it's amazing the things that you can do when you've got other people on campus who are willing to support. So I'm celebrating the support of my school leadership team for Random Acts of Kindness Week. Excuse me. So enough from me. Let's hear from some of you. Anybody at all?
This is Sarah. I'm at a charter school, but we are doing a lot of different things to recognize Black History Month. And this next week, we have a unity walk scheduled to symbolize a similar mission to the walk from Selma to Montgomery. So we have created a route around our campus where the students are going to be able to socially distance, and each class has taken a pledge within their own group. They've done lessons on the walk from Selma, and they've created posters and things like that to just show their unity across campus. And we actually have the elementary and middle school. That's why we've been able to create such a good route for the kids to walk. And so they'll be chanting and just showing their dedication to equality and everything, that march represented. So we're excited to see how that goes.
I love that. And how long is the walk to Selma, from Selma?
It's around our campus. So, I mean, in terms of a distance, I would say a block, like because they're circling the route from our elementary campus to our middle. And so it's all within the same property. They're not going outside of, into the public streets or anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not a very far distance, but it's enough where the kids can kind of connect the idea of what it meant to cross that bridge and what at the time, the rights that they were fighting for, and what are rights that we still have to continue to fight for, and things that were in our middle school campus. We're allowed to have a lot of honest conversations about the things that are happening in the community still, that, the work that still needs to be done. So at the elementary level, it's more about, the journey that it took at the time to get the right to vote and everything else.
I love that idea. Thank you for sharing that. That is a great celebration. Anybody else? It can be a small celebration. It could be a big celebration.
Our campus is also targeting or going toward the Black History Month, where they're actually celebrating the historical relevance of HBCUs, and the students will be participating in a scavenger hunt on campus, and they're going to just migrate around the campus to complete the scavenger hunt on the history of the HBCUs. And they're also going to be some guest speakers in various classes to talk about the Divine Nine sororities and fraternities on campus. And we have members that are of those sororities and fraternities that are on campus, and they'll be popping in and out of the classrooms and actually talking about what it's like to be a member of those particular organizations.
What a great idea. Anybody else? Thank you for sharing that.
Chat has livened up Janie.
All right. Share.
So let me come well, one post came in from Sarah just saying fun. So I don't know if that was in direct relation to Angela's comment or just overall kind of commentary. But I agree with that. Some really fun ideas. Yvette is posting. Oh, it was. Yes, Sarah. So to Angela, a very cool idea. So thank you for that. Thank you for sharing and thank you for celebrating it, Sarah. Yvette includes, we encourage SEL for adults. Schools implement Zen Dens, Mindful Mondays, Tap In, Tap Out, where a teacher can phone a friend and take 5, which encourages better SEL practices in the classroom teachers and having more empathy for the students.
Let's talk about the Zen Den and Tap In, Tap Out. Can we hear a little more about that?
Hey.
Hey, Vat, thanks for
Okay,
joining.
you can hear me. I was wondering. So the Zen Den is a room that has like adult coloring, and there it goes. I was like, how do I turn on my screen? Okay, adult coloring books, soft lighting. We have like little games that you can play. So just instead of taking, it's your lunchtime, you can go into the Zen Den and just kind of, it's a place where you can breathe. And then sometimes people, just get overwhelmed, you get bad news, something like that. I know a teacher found out that somebody had passed away. And so she had the Zen Den as a place to go and take breath and calm down. And so we tap in, meaning like, hey, I need a break, I need something, because like people said, where I work, that we don't have a lot of mask mandates. So because we don't have those mask mandates, teachers become very anxious at times. And so that's really important. Their well-being became so important for us. But in the meantime, the students ended up getting the benefits of it, because now the teachers understand being anxious, being dysregulated, feeling those feelings that they feel sometimes. So that's what that looks like.
And how are they able to tap in? What's involved in that exactly?
It's a practice that we do in the building. So it's actually, we know who's on planning when, or who might be on lunch. And then you can always reach out to myself if I'm available. So it depends on who's available, but they partner up in the very beginning. But say your partner's not there that day or something's going on, that's when I come in as a backup. So there's a partner system, like 2 or 3 people that partner together and know that when I might need you to come in and just watch my class for a second, and it's just really worked out, because sometimes it becomes a bit much. And so you'll have that opportunity to take that break. So
I love it. Thank you. Great ideas. Anyone else? What are you celebrating? So we've got Random Acts of Kindness, 2 great ideas about Black history, and the SEL for adults. Love these things.
I did not want to leave one out. I'm not sure if it was illuminated earlier, but Tabitha was posting some free apps that she uses. Down Dog, Meditation, Insight Timer, and Inner Explorer.
All right. I got Down Dog and Inner Explorer, and what were the other ones?
We had Meditation and Insight Timer.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you for those free apps. Love a good free app. All right, let's move on to the next one. I talked quite a lot about what we're doing for Random Acts of Kindness. If your school is participating, what are you doing? Anybody doing anything they'd like to share for Random Acts of Kindness? I was excited to hear from one of our language arts teachers who is doing a Random Acts of Kindness activity with her class. They're collecting like dollar store items, small shampoos, and deodorants, those kinds of things. They're creating bags for the homeless shelter. So I was really pleased to see that how some of our faculty were thinking about things they can do that don't involve, you know, being in contact with other people or being in close contact. So this is something they're doing in their class. So I thought that was really a great idea. Anybody, anything in the chat, Renix? Anybody doing random acts of kindness, celebrating that particular week?
Just came through. So from Tabitha, something small and simple. She created a take what you need paper outside of her office. Affirmations, and people can tear off what they need. And I love that. Just like a grab and go, pass by type thing. Thank you for sharing that, Tabitha. How's it been working?
I always take the first one without anybody knowing, just so, you know, it gets it going so people know they can take it. I've also let people know when they pass to give it a look, because another counselor here tried to give me scissors. They're like, hey, it's a day of kindness. Do you need scissors? And I was like, no, thank you. But feel free to look at the paper outside my door. And they sat there for a bit reading them. So even if they don't take it, as long as they read it, because it says things like, I matter, I am strong, I am resilient. So they don't have to take it, but at the least reading it does some sort of kindness.
Love it. Thank you. We also have our teachers doing a bingo sheet. I got a lot of different ideas from the Random Acts of Kindness website, which you'll see is at the top of the page. If it's not something you've done before, it might be something you want to think about adding. I know it's a busy month with Black History Month. Maybe it's a way that you can incorporate that in the future. It doesn't have to be a whole week. It could just be that one particular day. But we created a bingo card so that teachers could be working on that all throughout the week. Things like not just saying please and thank you, but listening to a student, help someone who's struggling with a project, reach out to someone you haven't talked to in a while. So things like that, just to get people thinking about things they can do. And that's a good promotion for SEL and mindfulness as well. So excited about this bingo cards and eager to hear how people use them. Anything else? Anything in the chat there, Mr. Renix?
Sorry, nothing else as of yet. But when just from when I perused that website, the idea coming through was about like just the goodie bags for maybe staff or things on site. So taking the time to get like a gift bag, brown paper lunch bag, and putting in it just some things that people maybe their favorite. If you know a person's favorite candy or their favorite pastime or something easy you can give them, and just surprising that with them. My principal is amazing at surprising us with just random things that we forget we told her at the beginning of the year. And you'll come in, you'll have a bag on your desk in your room, and just brings that little bit of sunshine and a smile for a moment. So taking that kind of thought and then applying it to kindness randomly, just making little gift treat bags, kindness bags, and surprising somebody with them, staff, students, anyone that could need an uplift.
All right, thank you. If there's nothing else in the chat, we'll move on to our next slide, which is just counselor sharing. What have you been doing? I know that we're all busy with a variety of things. Some of the things are very similar with our schools, but what have you been doing? Something different, something special, something that you think is just ordinary, but other people may find exceptional because they've never thought of that before. So there are things here already that you've got my mind really churning about. How can I use that? So it may not work that same way in someone else's school, but I'm a big one for piggybacking on ideas. So go ahead and share, what have you been doing? And maybe it's just the ordinary day-to-day stuff, but what have you been doing? Well, while we're waiting, I will share again. I don't know about you all. I have one of those gigantic plexiglass shields on my desk. And I never really thought about sticking things on it before, but it's like a three-sided board. And I have started using it to put sticky notes of things to remind myself to do. And it seems kind of silly, but a lot of times sticky notes get buried in my desk or end up on the bottom of my shoe or in the bottom of my chair, and they're just not where I'm using them and seeing them. And so I've been able to put sticky notes on my screen. Of course, the kids can't see them because it's facing me, but reminders about who to see and what period they have an elective and those kinds of things. So it's really been, finally, after having it for half the year, I've come up with a way that I can actually use it, and that it actually has a benefit besides just being, a germ protector. But using my plexiglass shield for counselor notes, reminders of things to do. All right, I'm starting to feel like I'm the only one out there. Come on, everybody. What are you guys up to? I want to hear from you. No matter how small, we all want to hear what's going on. That's why we call it counselor sharing, so we can hear what's going on with everybody.
Well, you were talking about organizing. I do Zoom live with the kids 2 days a week, just as like office hours being open. So I have a dedicated Zoom link where I just sit there during lunch and they can just kind of Zoom in and ask me questions if they need to ask the counselor question. And sometimes we go over organizational stuff, like when things come up and I go, well, do you have a calendar? And you're doing all the organizational stuff. So you kind of pinpointing, putting the sticky notes on the plexiglass kind of made me think of when they start questioning me as well, because sometimes I'm sitting here and I'll be reminded of something and I'll start looking for something and they'll go, well, Mrs. McKinnon, are you organized? And they'll start asking me the same questions that I asked them. Well, have you tried color coding? Have you tried this? Have you tried highlighting? And they'll kind of throw my own strategies back at me when I start asking them stuff. So we actually had a session where the students actually taught me how to make these really fun paperclip kind of crafts. So I'll show you what they ended up looking like, because I have some of them here. And they were really cute. I don't know if you can see them, but they're like really cute.
Oh, yeah.
And it's actually just a fun piece of paper that a big jumbo paperclip is in. And one of the students actually showed me how to make it, like when we were on the Zoom call. And it has like a little statement here. This says 504s in progress, And so as I start clipping things like to stacks of paper, I have these jumbo clips, and one actually says, what's up with this stack of paper? So and so it's just like really fun things to like put on papers, because even the students notice sometimes when I'm working with them, like, you keep looking for things, like, are you not organized? So that's just like another fun way to organize yourself, to be colorful, other than like Post-it notes and stuff, because I am working from home. So a lot of Post-its around tend to get misplaced and start to stick on my coffee cup or somewhere. And so that was something that the students were able to kind of teach me in return for Zooming with them.
I love that. What a great idea, Angela. Thanks for sharing. And the paper's so pretty too, and you can decorate it however you want. And where do you get the jumbo paper clips? That's a huge paper clip.
Ordered them on Amazon.
Okay.
Because I tend to have, like, the student had little bitty, like, regular paper clips, but I'm like, I have big stacks of paper. Like, you guys have lots of issues. I need big paper clips.
Love it. I love it. Such great ideas. Anybody else? Thank you for sharing that.
Yes, we got one that came through in the chat from Yvette. Let's see, Google Classroom with a question of the day to reach out to remote learning students, encourage student interaction.
So can you give us a couple of examples of those questions of the day?
Like, what's your superpower, your dream job, things like that. If you can change one thing about today, what would that thing be? You know, if you were in school right now, where would you be? Most people say at lunch or in PE. That's it, lunch PE. That's it. So it just kind of gets them going. And I have some people who talk all the time, and then I have some people who say nothing. So,
Right.
but the fact that they can just interact is really important.
I love that.
And
I think that's important. Anybody else?
hey, Jeannie, I need to be transparent. I live in Tennessee, but I have a house in Florida, so I've been trying to transition. So I joined the organization this year. I went to the conference. So I've been trying to kind of connect so that people will just kind of know where I'm coming from when I talk about no mask and students, because we're still doing like a hybrid. So like most of our students are in school, but we still have a bunch whose parents are like, no way, especially because the students won't wear masks. So
Right.
It's been really, really a lot on faculty and staff, the fact that our students, but I'm at home because we are stuck. We have the snow here. And I could have went to Florida. My husband just left. I could have gotten in the car, went with him, but I'm stuck here in the frozen snow.
Well, we look forward to welcoming you to Florida and having you be a part of. We're so glad that you joined us today for our level sharing, and we appreciate your ideas. So keep them coming. Anybody else? Things that you'd like to share? Things that you are doing that you think might benefit someone else, no matter how small?
I just have a question for Yvette because, you know, there's several areas represented here today. What part of Florida will you be joining? Where will you be? What area?
St. Petersburg, St. Pete.
Okay.
So either Hillsborough County or Pinellas or somewhere around there.
All right. Good decision. Good. No shade to the that we have Broward in the room, and we love all of our counties. All right, just wanted to liven it up. Welcome to Florida when you get here.
Renix and I are always recruiting. I was going to say Volusia really needs some school counselors. So, you know, Daytona Speedway, close to Orlando, without being in Orlando. So, but if you've already got a home, we understand. So you're already making some contacts here in Florida, and we're glad to hear that you're going to be coming our way.
And we have a new addition to the chat from Lisa. To touch base every month with students and parents, we do coffee with the counselors.
They do what?
Coffee with the counselors.
In person or on Zoom or whatever?
She says via Zoom.
And talk a little bit about what that looks like and how that works.
Well, good afternoon. For our school, what we do is that once a month from 6 to 7 at night, we schedule a topic that we're going to speak to inform parents and students of different things that we're doing at the school. And that involves the students and the parents. And then we have an open question section at the end, and that incorporates everyone to feel more involved with our school, and they like it.
What kind of response have you had?
Well, we have like about 200 students between students and parents that join, and it's a good amount, and it's we speak every single month of a different topic, and then at the end we just have open questions regarding anything that they need clarifications and things like that.
What are some of the topics that you've talked about?
Well, this month, February, we spoke about subject selection, since we are a middle and a high school. And then we touch base on all of that. And then next month, we are going to be touching base on truancy and self-esteem, the different topics and strategies for our students.
Love it. Thank you. Anyone else? What are you doing? How's our chat looking, Renix?
So in the chat, we had some discussing subject selection as Lisette was elaborating on her commentary. And then we have just a message direct to Yvette from Dr. Schumacher with gratitude regarding her membership to FISCA, and another detail about the convention 2021. I have a question though, middle school council, because again, I'm with the younger population. Based on when I talked to some of my friends that are counseling at the middle school level, there was a lot of talk about schedule change and that kind of thing. So any creative or anything that you're doing to like help students with scheduling needs, because that seemed to be a big barrier that they were encountering for a little bit. Is there any creative ways to schedule, I guess?
When you say creative ways for scheduling needs, like what were the concerns?
So some of them were trying to do like with Florida Virtual School and trying to schedule some courses that weren't being available, or honestly that got cut into the schedule. And so I thought that was interesting, but I really didn't know if that was, I guess, appropriate or acceptable would be the question. And so, is it?
I personally feel that it's acceptable, especially because we do have Hillsborough Virtual School in Hillsborough County, you know, and it does keep the funding within our district because they went ahead and opened up the open enrollment. Before, Hillsborough Virtual used to be, you know, they had that open week, and then that's the only week that you can enroll. And then after that, you couldn't enroll, where Florida Virtual was constantly open enrollment. It was very fluid. However, now Hillsborough Virtual is open enrollment. You can kind of open throughout the year, and then you can enroll kind of as you go. So as more e-learners, especially because that's the field, the area where I'm in, find that they don't have as many options in terms of electives, it's perfectly acceptable to have them log into something to do an e-learning class via Hillsborough Virtual, especially something such as keyboarding. They have photography. They have so many electives offered to them on Hillsborough Virtual that they just don't offer in the brick and mortar setting, or they're not able to because they don't have enough teachers that teach that particular class through the e-learning platform. So that just gives more enrichment to the student at that point to be able to take a class of that nature.
Okay. And I think, as I'm recalling the conversation, there was that concern about, you know, the enrollment periods and how there was that maybe that recent shift to HVS being open throughout, because Florida, you can just, you know, oh, we don't have it, okay, I can do it and have my own pace and things. So when I talked to her this evening, I can say I got some thumbs up for her.
Right.
Yes.
The only drawback would be if they were trying to take a core class. For example, language arts or math, science, or social studies. Those are the courses that I would shy away from in terms of them taking it on a Hillsborough Virtual platform, because those are the classes that you definitely want them to have that connection with the teacher in the brick and mortar setting, or on the e-learning space where they're actually going into Zooms every day in a structured setting. It's just not like that on a Hillsborough Virtual setting. It's apples and oranges when it comes to taking a Hillsborough Virtual or Florida Virtual class and an e-learning class. And I don't think people realize the difference.
Okay.
So it is a huge difference there.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Mhm.
And I think that Angela brings up a great point, about rolling enrollments versus enrollment periods. And it's going to be different throughout the state, especially counties that have their own virtual school. Those rules change and those enrollment periods change. So counselors really have to be familiar with the virtual school options that are available. I know I've made some mistakes when I was recommending students for certain things because enrollment periods had changed or uh, the district has changed its policy on, we were allowing students to have a 6-period day. Now we're saying no, they have to have a 7-period day because of FTE and money that the district loses. So students can come, like Angela was saying, they can take their brick and mortar core classes and then they can go home after 4 periods and they can take 3 electives at home. So, you really need to be familiar with what your district allows. Like I said previously, our district said you only have to have 6 periods a day. That's all the state requires, but we require 7 and it's tied to our FTE. So just be careful with that and know what your district allows. All right, we are 9 minutes away from wrapping this up. So let's move on to any needs or concerns, any kind of problem solving that you guys would like to dive into today. How can this group help? I love the power of collective brains and the thinking that we can do together, how we're so much stronger as a group. And our experiences, our education, our backgrounds all build on that and help us to be a really great support for each other. So what needs do you have today or concerns? It sounds like your question, Renix, fell right into that category, so that's a great transition. How can this group help you? Or maybe we don't have a solution today, but what could we talk about in the future that might be a benefit to you? So what would you like to know more about? What can we help you with today? I'll start again while people are perhaps typing and thinking about it. I think one of the biggest things that I've seen, and you probably all have seen it too, is the lack of engagement with our online learners. And not just the lack of engagement, but the lack of attendance in classes. And so really, I know we are continuing to struggle with that. And our students who have returned to brick and mortar, they just seem to have lost the drive. They're glad to be back and be with their peers. They seem to have lost the drive to participate, to put in 100%. So that's a concern I have. And if anybody has any things that they've done to increase that engagement, I'd love to hear about that, because the truancy online is as big a problem as it was for some of our kids who were coming to brick and mortar.
Honestly, I would love to hear that as well, because I feel that truancy has become like my full-time job right now. This is all I do all day, every day.
I hear you.
And then reporting them and calling home and reporting to the district, really nothing changes, to be honest. So it's a little frustrating. And there's a lot of failing students.
A lot of failing. And I think many of our students are under the impression that, that the grace and compassion we extended during the school shutdown is going to follow them into the school year.
I agree, 100%.
That didn't do any work, except for maybe the last week when they realized, oh, heck, the school year is going to be over and I haven't done anything. I better try and do something. And because they turned 2 or 3 assignments, the teacher gave them a D. Or some kids even got a C, and so they feel like they don't have to put in much effort. And I guess they think that we're going to gift them with another quarter of grades or another year of grades. And so I think maybe we've reinforced some really bad behaviors as a school system, and I'm not sure
Yes,
how to get out of that.
I agree 100%. I've gotten responses from parents that have told me, well, I have to work. And they're like, hands off, like it's their problem. And I feel like that's what everyone thinks is going to happen. Everyone's just going to get promoted magically, earning Fs all school year, But yes, I think that's the overall feeling that these parents expect to happen this year.
Yeah, I completely agree with that 100%. That has been a huge issue for me. And I hate to put that unfortunately in there, but what I have found is I have to work at each individual student one at a time. I find when I'm going through the list of students who have failed something, I have to make contact with that student and hopefully the parent as well to get the parent on board. But it takes a long time to get the support of the student and the buy-in of the student to make them understand that this is their grade and it's going to affect them in the long term, and build that relationship to get them on board to say, okay, I have to take care of this. This is my issue and I have to take care of it. So that's what I have found has worked for me. There are some students that pick up and they move on and they buy into it and they're ready to go and then they make the change. And then you have others that simply don't buy into it. And that's the issue that I'm dealing with. And it's very difficult. That I invite them into the Zoom lesson and we work in a group, and that's how I build a social skill group, and that's how they can start to support one another and know that they're not in it by themselves. But my main success has been with just tackling the kid, just tackling the student, and making sure that they know they're not alone. I said, this is going to be a lot of information I'm going to give you. You have to do better. You have to try, and you're going to fail this class. You will be retained, like just giving them that solid, honest truth and saying, this is what it is. And I'm here to help you. I want you to be successful. And hopefully that changes their mind, their outlook on that they can do it. And then giving them the coping skills in their toolbox to let them know it's okay to want to do better and to get through whatever it is, whether they're feeling isolated by themselves, they're at home, they're e-learning, and they just feel like they can't do it anymore. So that's just been my own personal experience of getting them to do better, because sometimes they don't have the support. I've been there with the parent that says, I got to work. I can't be at home. I can't watch them. I can't, it's a lot of can'ts. And you just really have to get the buy-in and build that relationship with the kid so they feel that they can. So it's hard. It's hard.
It is. Thanks, Angela. I think you're voicing a lot of our concerns. I really appreciate that.
I just want to say, I don't know about other people, but I'm like the data queen. I love data and looking at reports and Excel and all that. But this Zoom and Teams and, it took me a while to get that Google Classroom going. I mean, I'm doing it now, but my goodness, I wasn't expecting this. Like, and I know there's like tools and tricks and technology for counselors, but oh my goodness, I don't know about y'all. Maybe it's just me. It just becomes overwhelming with everything else we have to do, trying to really be tech savvy. I just feel like that, I don't know.
I agree. It's a lot of new technology. I feel more tech savvy than I did when all this started. I'm really proud of the tech I've learned.
Right.
I feel like I'm just scratching the surface. There's so much more I could do with it, but I don't have time to dive deeper.
Mm-hmm.
So anybody that's got some tips and tricks, we would love to hear those.
Mm-hmm.
I know we only have 1 minute left, so let me just, if you have any concerns or needs that you want us to talk about, if you will put those in the chat and we will address those. But let me just wrap up. If you're interested in Lunch and Learn in March, we were supposed to have one the week of March 15th. We see that a lot of people have spring break during that time. Our elementary group said that they would like to meet the first week in March. please share in the chat if you would like to do one the week of March the 15th, or if you prefer to move to the first week in March. So if you would just put that in the chat now, and we will see, you know, what this group is interested in doing. And while you're doing that, we'll just wrap up. We'll figure out when our next meeting is going to be in just a little bit. For today's session, it is recorded. You will be able to find it on the Florida School Counselor Association YouTube channel in the next few days, along with this PowerPoint and today's chat. If there are needs that you wish for us to address in the future, please also leave those in the chat. We are very eager to talk about the things you want to talk about, so just make sure that you add that there. If you have any questions, also put that in the chat, or you can reach out to me at the Florida School Counselor Association. I'm going to put my address here in the chat right now. Oops, I see it just went into our. Also, if you are not following us on Twitter, we're at MyFISCA. So join us there, follow us on Twitter. And also, if you're not part of our Florida School Counselor Association Facebook page, please join us there as well. Let's look real quick. It is 1:01, and I know many of you need to move on with your day. I can't find the chat. First week of March, we see first week of March. All right, so let's look at first week of March. Then we will meet, we always meet on Wednesday, so we'll meet that Wednesday. I believe that is anybody have a calendar? The first week of March, that Wednesday is?
March 3rd, 2021.
3rd. So we'll be March 3rd will be our next meeting. And again, if you have questions, concerns, things you'd like for us to address, you may contact me at the Florida School Counselor Association. And also, if anyone on here, we have a small but mighty group. If you are interested in being a presenter for our Florida School Counselor Association Professional Development Committee, I heard a lot of great things today. We'd love to tap into your expertise. You may reach out to Renix or myself, and we would be delighted to hear from you. So that's all. Thank you all so much for coming. We appreciate you sticking around for the whole hour. Please share this with your friends, invite them to join us as well. And we'll see you the first week in March. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Is it us?
I can't find the leave button.
Oh, it's just us. So I am texting you, but I loved all of that.
Hang on.